Welcome to Eagles on the Air, our very first podcast episode coming to you straight from Salesian High School's broadcast studio. For this inaugural episode, I have a very special guest with me, Salesian High School's president, Father James Heuser. Father Jim is in his third year as the president of Salesian High School. We're going to be talking about all things Salesian. Through the length of this podcast, we're going to be covering school, intercurricular, extracurricular, and everything there is to know about Salesian High School. We're going to jump right into it. And Father Jim, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being my first guest.
Thank you very much, Steve. You're a master communicator, and I have great confidence speaking with you today.
Everybody we bring on the show, I think I'm going to ask them the same question. And I'm going to start it with you, Father Jim. What is your Salesian story? What brought you here? And what's your history of all things Salesian?
My history of all things Salesian High School is that I knew of Salesian High School before I was assigned here to serve as the president. So from 2003 to 2009, I lived on the property here, but up the hill. I lived in the big gray stone mansion that looks like a haunted house during October, and I was serving as the provincial of the Salesians. So I would make an annual visit to the school. I would also, when I was home and not traveling around, stop into the cafeteria, see some things. I remember being invited to do some groundbreaking, a ceremony with a shovel, when they were starting to raise funds to build the Brother Jim Wiegand Athletic Center. And then what I most remember is when I was leaving New Rochelle, finishing as provincial, I was invited to be the commencement speaker at the graduation. And three teachers who are here now graduated that year: Nick Federico, Andrew Ripka, and Andrew Marinaccio. Sorry, Andrew. So they were graduates at the time, and I remember handing them and the others the diploma. But in preparation for that commencement speech, I looked through the 4 years of yearbooks, and I saw what a wonderful place Salesian High School is. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I would ever get assigned here to serve. And indeed, it happened that 2.5 years ago, the then provincial, Father Tim Zach, came to me. I was at our brother school, Don Bosco Prep in Ramsey, New Jersey. I had been there 11 years, and he asked if I would be willing to now come over here and serve here as the president. And I gladly said yes. I moved over. The first day I arrived, the place was filled with campers, Camp Echo Bay. But what struck me again were the students who were serving as counselors. Outgoing, friendly, welcoming, and I knew after that first day I was home.
That's awesome. And to go way back when, because me personally, this is my 18th year at Salesian High School, so I remember those days in 2009 very well. That class of 2009, including those three teachers, Mr. Ripka, Mr. Marinaccio, and Mr. Federico, they selected me as their Grand Marshal. I still have the plaque in my office. One of the most proud things I've had happen to me in my tenure here at school. And I was there for the groundbreaking.
That's right, yeah.
I was there when Father Jim was the provincial. Before we started filming here today, I even said I found old pictures of that on my phone, of that event, saved on like a Google Drive on my phone. But awesome time back there at Salesian, yes. Putting myself in that place 12 years ago. It's been a pleasure to have you working here with us as a colleague for the last 3 years.
Thank you. I've been blessed to be here. What absolutely. A wonderful place.
And really. Over the last 3 years, specifically, so many good things, great things, have happened to our students, to the campus, to the physical building. And I just want to run over a few of those with you. One of the first things you did when you got here was take a tour of the whole place. I think we all walked around and we said, all right, what can we upgrade about this? And one thing you need to know about Father Jim is he is a mover. So you want to get things done, Father Jim is your guy. But one of the first things we did was convert the cafeteria. If you're an alumni out there watching or listening, you know that cafeteria has been that way and looked like that for years. And one of the first things we did, if you don't mind telling us what happened to the what these guys all know as the cafeteria.
On my walk around, I remember clearly, and if I can back up a little, I remember clearly walking into the New Wiegand Center, and there was an empty room on the right, just a cement floor, and I was told that the wrestling program used to be there, but there was no more wrestling program. And immediately I thought, we can't have this empty room just sitting here. We have students here. And this is an athletic center. What do they need? And so we got the idea, with the help of generous benefactors of the school, whom I met that September and took over there. We got the idea of converting that into a wellness center. And a beautiful, beautiful wellness center with so many machines and weights and the like. And the kids now are there during phys ed classes. And they're there as well after school. It's usually open from after school until 5 o'clock. And it warms my heart every time I go over there after school and see kids there working out and enjoying themselves. But then the other thing was that we had meetings in the cafeteria, and there were these old tables with these little round seats coming out. And I thought to myself when I sat on one that I might have been the right size for this seat when I was in high school, but I was no longer the right size for this seat at my age. And I says, I think we need to upgrade the cafeteria. And again, with the help of generous donors, so many contributed. We launched a campaign to convert that into the Kevin and Denise Casson Commons. And everything in the cafeteria was redone, from the floor to the walls. All new windows were put in, a ceiling was put in, lighting, the grill and the serving table were all moved around, and then all new furniture was gotten, round tables, long tables, high top tables, plus a seat, a row of seats that would look out over the ball field and Echo Bay. And it's just, for me, just a welcoming place now for our kids to have lunch, but also for us to have gatherings of alumni, parents, and the like. It's really a beautiful, beautiful space.
I completely agree. I see the kids up there. They love it. Our cafeteria is packed. Everybody, for the most part, eats their lunch up there, where that wasn't the case 5-10 years ago. And the wellness center, like you said, I was just over there during phys ed period. I saw kids working out there. I even saw a couple of teachers. I saw Mr. Manning doing some rowing on one of his off periods. So
there are some teachers that sometimes come in early in the morning before school starts, before the students come here, and they go and work out. As you can tell, looking at me, I am not one of those educators, but we do what we can.
I am absolutely not in that group either. One day I will, but I don't know. I eventually, I hope to be there. I hope to join some of these teachers that are in such great shape, but that's not the case right now. So we got the brand new wellness center. It's beautiful up there. I love going up there and eating lunch myself. We have the beautiful new wellness center where the kids are getting great work out there, taking care of their personal well-being. They have access to it before school, after school, during their phys ed period. Now let's move over to the main academic building. When I first got here in 2006, I had heard that they just converted the 4th floor to an area where there were living quarters for the priests and brothers who were working in the school. They had just converted that to some science classrooms, and that was done. I had never seen the living quarters up there. So those were science classes as long as I've known, since 2006. But since then, this 4th floor has undergone a complete renovation. Now serves as our STEM center. Let's walk me through the STEM center real quick, because that's another thing I absolutely love.
The Commons was done by, I don't know, but it was the end of that first academic year. And but during that first academic year, I would be looking for a math classroom, or I'd be looking for the science classrooms, and they were all on different floors. And I said, this is not helpful, because I got to walk up and down a lot of stairs. So I thought, wouldn't it improve our academics if the disciplines were together? all the math classes together, all the science classes together, and the like. Secondly, we had begun a robotics program my first year. Father Paul Chu began a robotics program, and they were in a small room hidden. And I thought they need a bigger room, and this should be more public and more visible and the like. At the same time, the dean at the time recommended to me that we put in not just a new computer lab, but in esports, an area that would afford esports stations for kids to compete in, because unknown to me, apparently now you can get college scholarships for achievement in esports. So we thought about that, prayed about that, talked to different people. We decided to convert the whole fourth floor of the main academic building into a STEM center. So we have 3 science areas on one side, the math classrooms in the middle, and then in the other area we have a robotics room that opens up into a computer classroom, and then on the other side of that, a computer room, but also an esports lab that has around the edge of the computer room these special computers and chairs and materials for esports, you know. So at any rate, the kids enjoy it, and the kids are making good use of it. But I think the whole area of science and math and computers is moving forward in the curriculum because all those teachers are together, you know. So it's been a good thing. Yeah, very good thing.
Absolutely. And it provides such a warm space and a fun space at the same time. One thing, as the admissions director here at school, when Father Jim came over here 3 years ago and he was talking about recruiting with me, I said one thing. I said, Father Jim, I'll sell it to the best I can, but you got to deliver me some cool stuff.
Well,
and I think over those 3 years, we got a lot of cool stuff. But more importantly, like he just said, our teachers are making great use of it. Our students make good use of it. And I still take something to heart that Father Jim said when he first got here. Whenever a decision at Salesian High School is made, the question in the back of our minds is, how does this benefit the student? So everything here is student-centered. Even this room we're in right now, the broadcast studio, we're in our section here for the podcast, which I think looks great. But off to the side is where our students in the morning film AM Salesian. So that's my segue down to the 3rd floor. Okay, so we just, this past summer into the fall, converted our 3rd floor to a center for the humanities. Keep on going, Father Jim.
Keep on going.
We did a lot of construction over here.
I keep providing you new things to sell, and I see you smile more, and you give tours, and people are in awe of what they see here. And then you say, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? So with that in my mind, I thought, well, we've got the STEM center upstairs. We need to move forward the area of the humanities, group those classrooms together, have the English classrooms together, have the social studies, history classes together, and the language classes together. But in addition, I felt it was important for us to improve not just the classroom space, but to introduce a few special rooms. So the library, which was beautifully renovated, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago before I got here, maybe longer, it was not being used. It was basically an empty room for most of the day. And so the thought became to distribute the library throughout the school. So to put the social studies books in the social studies wing, now that we had one. But the English books in the English classrooms, where they would be used more, the kids would have greater access to them. But the science books and whatever math books there were, not many, or computers, put them upstairs, up in the STEM center area, you know. So we dispersed the library, just keeping one wall of the original library of books. We dispersed them out and then made that room what we call a learning commons. It's got a gigantic I don't know what you call it, a video board or something.
I think unofficially we call it the Jumbotron.
The Jumbotron.
Unofficially.
Unofficially, well. So that's on the wall. But then we have individual cubicles for individual study. They can go there in the morning when they arrive. They can go there after school, or they can go there during periods if need be. But also then we put in work tables higher than a regular normal table. Higher work tables, 5 of them, where you can gather kids around and work on projects and do cooperative learning and learn together. So that has become a great space. We also added a business lab. We need to develop pathways for our students, academic pathways where they can grow and follow classes, a series of courses that put them into the direction of perhaps a career, a vocation. So one of those areas might be business and economics. And so we have some business courses, but we've added a new one, financial literacy for the freshmen, and we put in then a business lab with long tables and comfortable chairs and another smaller jumbotron, if that's what you call it, or a smaller one, but along with the stock ticker above. And so our kids are learning a lot in that room along the lines of finance and along the lines of business. And we have plans next year, again, to introduce more electives for that space to be taught in that room. And then the broadcast studio, a whole nother area, which enables us now to do this podcast,
I love it.
I think they've had AM Salesian for quite a few years here, and it was done out of literally a closet space that everybody was cramped in, and you couldn't get a lot of kids in there. You had 2 cameras and some kind of a system. And so this classroom, the room we're in now, offered itself as a perfect environment to set up kind of a broadcast lab. And our kids are using it for the AM Salesian program every morning, and we got to continue to grow that. They're also using it for some sports broadcasting stuff. We're using it now for these podcasts, and we got to continue to develop programs in the area of communications and broadcasting for our kids, for those who want to perhaps pursue a career, a vocation along those lines.
It's so important because we aim to get them a little bit of direction before they get to a college,
yes,
as opposed to getting to a college and try to figure out what they want to do at that level. So I love the idea of getting a few disciplines in front of them at the high school level. And let's say, you really enjoyed business class with Mr. Taveras. Maybe that's something I want to study in college. And they got those roots here. And speaking on the communications end, when I first got here in 2006, we had those TVs up in the corner of each of the classrooms, and our students put on AM Salesian Live. And getting here 18 years ago, I said, this is the coolest program ever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
to see that, and they always had great moderators from Brother Jim, who's now Father Jim, and from Father Bill, and everybody who's helped moderate that club over the years. They always had great participation, and they've always asked for more space. So finally this year, we were able to give them the space, because you're right, you can fit the 2 anchors, maybe the 2 cameramen, and everybody else had to wait out in the hallway.
Right.
And so now, behind this wall is basically like the control center for AM Salesian.
Correct. Yeah.
And so everybody's in here. They put on a great show every morning. Any of the 8th graders out there who've done a shadow day might have had the opportunity to watch AM Salesian. And anybody out there watching this, by the way, get up on our social media. You could see a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. You could see it in action. You could see it live. Some of the new renovations. You could see our virtual tour. Some of the great work we've done with Why Not You Media to show off our students, our campus. I encourage all of you to get up on our Facebook and our Instagram pages.
And we've had over the years, I've learned since being here, we've had alumni, graduates, who have gone on to find careers in broadcasting. And I think naturally of Mike Breen, who graduated from here, I'm not even sure what year, but graduated from here and has been a spectacular NBA sportscaster. No?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think also of another alumnus out in California who's the head of Marvel Studios.
Yep.
And those are just two. Others have left here and gone into the field of communications and broadcasting. So this hopefully develops a stronger pool of kids who learn they might be interested in this and then go out from here, pick a good college to study it, and go further in this field.
Yeah. I'm like crazy optimistic in that area too, because I watch some of the stuff they do, and our students who basically run this program, they're so creative, they're so good behind the computers, and the work they do is incredible. So they should continue in this particular field, even though I'm speaking with a business degree. So, but the creativity out of these guys is awesome. And eventually, we want to try to get some of these kids involved in this podcast. Either they can shadow Why Not You Media, who's filming us today, and figure out how to work behind the camera. So we want to give them all that hands-on experience, all of it at the high school level, all of it on this beautiful campus with all these beautiful renovations. And it's never over. So we're constantly thinking about evolving and fingers crossed, nothing in stone. But next up, we were talking about a Center for the Arts.
Flaherty Hall, named after, a Salesian icon, John P. Flaherty, who worked here for 50 years, maybe slightly over 50 years, and came as a biology teacher and a hockey coach, and then moved through different positions in administration up to being principal, and served as principal for many decades. Beloved, a man beloved. They named that building, the building across the courtyard, they named it Flaherty Hall in his honor some years ago.
Yep.
And so we would like to develop that into a center for the arts, because it already has a stage area. And so it's a place where you can put on shows and the like, and they have in the past. But we moved also into the lower level. On one half, we moved the art room, the fine arts classroom that Mr. Manning so ably teaches. And so we gave them more space than they had here in this academic building, giving them more space over there. And the kids have to study some kind of art or music before they graduate. It's a New York State requirement. So right now, all of them take art in Mr. Manning's classrooms. But wouldn't it be wonderful, I dream, if we could also give them the option? Some kids may not be interested in the fine arts. They may be more interested in the performing arts. Mm-hmm. So while one half of that lower level is now a fine arts classroom, beautiful, and we just bought a new kiln so that the kids can do ceramics as well. The other half we want to develop into a music suite.
Great, awesome.
There are kids who have musical talent. Some of them perhaps already know instruments, but we want to get others involved and either percussion or wind or string, guitars, saxophones and the like, an array of instruments that they could have classes in, and or digital music production.
Ooh.
I don't know what that board is called that you called a jumbotron, all right? So this is out of my field, but my understanding is that there are nowadays a lot of musical creations, digital music, beats and the like. And some of our kids have an aptitude for that, a gift, And so could we have in this music suite not only the teaching of performing music and instruments, but could we have several workstations for those kids who could delve into musical technology, or create musical pieces through the computer? So that's our aim. That's our next dream that we're hoping to be able to gather funds from our benefactors and friends in order to convert that next over the coming months into a musical suite. We got to keep developing, keep growing.
I'm telling you, this is Father Jim. Keeps on getting me cool stuff to sell. I love it. And of course, back to what I said before, all of this stuff benefits the students of Salesian High School. They are, like you said,
Exactly.
they're musically inclined, they're technologically inclined, and we want to deliver the absolute best for them so they can build on all their gifts.
Yes. It's funny, you come here, you're new, you're a fresh pair of eyes, so you come into the school and you see yourself giving kids tours or families tours, and our own kids giving tours, shadow for a day. And then you wonder why some of them do not come. Mm-hmm. And so I keep my ears open. What are they looking for that we do not provide, you see? We have to provide a strong academic program, which we do, but it's got to grow. We have to provide a safe environment, which we do. We a very safe environment. But we also have to provide opportunities for kids with different talents or different needs to be helped. Because this was Don Bosco. St. John Bosco always started from the needs of the kids in front of him. And so that's another thing that we kind of began here 2 years ago, really. Part-time, and now it's a full-time program, was for students with learning needs. Mm-hmm. You know, there are a number of students who have different learning needs. Not that they're not intelligent. No, they are. But they learn differently than the majority of other kids. Yep. And so we needed a space for them and a teacher for them to assist them in particular. And I'm delighted we've been able to start that learning needs program and have the space. We took another 3 offices, I guess, and knocked down the walls and made a classroom for those students with learning needs so that they can get the individualized attention from a specific learning needs teacher that they need. And God willing, we're adding to that staff a second teacher so that more kids will be able to be helped by that. But that's Don Bosco's way. What do the kids need? And then you create programs around them to help them.
That's great. I mean, seeing the program grow, that means it's been a success since we started it. We're giving the students the help they need, the guidance they need. It warms your heart to be able to offer this to students right here. And I love it. When I found out we were adding another staff member to that program, like, I couldn't be happier. So a great program. I say this to a ton of parents when I'm on tour with them, ton of students when I'm on tour with them. We have something for everybody. And that's what we want to do here at Salesian, continue to push Don Bosco's mission, continue to live through him, continue to offer a beautiful, challenging curriculum in a safe, updated, current building, just strong academics. It's a great environment here. I can't speak enough about it, but I'm the admissions director. That's what I'm supposed to do. But it makes my job incredibly easy. And even something like this podcast here. So this is our first episode, hopefully the first of many. I mean, I started off a little nervous, but I kind of I kind of evened out a little bit. This is good. I can't wait for the next one.
Well, because you're talking about what you love.
Absolutely.
And you love Salesian.
Yes,
the school is over 100 years old, right? Founded in 1920. And as I like to say to visitors when they come, we're not good because we're old. We're old because we're good. And how do you stay good? You stay good by continuing to develop, continuing to change, and continuing to serve the needs of the kids who come here now. We can't offer to the kids who come here now what we offered in 1945. It was great in 1945, but we need to offer for the kids of this millennium or the 21st century, a real 21st century education. So I'm delighted to be here. The kids are wonderful. The faculty and staff are all wonderful. And the focus on the kids is so evident to me. Delighted to be here and help Salesian continue to grow so that we're here for another 100 years.
I hope to God that I'm here for each of those next 100 years.
Not me.
I can't wait to imagine. I can't imagine what the podcast is going to look like in 100 years. This has been a lot of fun. It's like I said, our first of many. I love that. That might be our tagline for this podcast. We're not good because we're old. We're old because we're good.
I like that.
If you hear that in future episodes, know that I borrowed that from Father Jim. But thank you for being my first guest. It's been informative. It's been fun. And again, I look forward to future episodes of Eagles on the Air.
Thank you, Steve. Happy to be with you, always.
Thank you, everybody.